What does high score mean? New high score, is that bad? What does that mean? Should I break it?
Hello everyone and welcome to Veteran Gaming. I am Aaron. Tonight we're going to be talking about Eternal Evolution, and I have a video that I've held off on making for quite some time because I wanted a little bit more experience with it before I came out and gave any kind of advice or strategy guide for it. I was talking to my clan today, and big shout out to HH Gaming 5, outstanding guild. Really supportive, really excellent, smart players in there. And Minotaur specifically, shout out to Minotaur, said, hey, how about making a video on class technology, because it is a really important part of the game and it's something that players need to understand because there isn't a lot of information out there. So great idea, thank you Minotaur, and we will talk about it today. Now that we've had a little bit of time and experience with it, I feel comfortable talking about it and saying maybe some do's and some don'ts. So when we look at the class technology here, we are obviously spending gene modules paired with gene breakthrough cores to upgrade across a character class right here. So we got tank, vanguard, assassin, hunter, support, energy, summon, obviously. And they're each broken down into certain layers. So this is our defense, our attack, our HP, crit damage and attack, resist, our crit damage reduction and extra defense, and then our accuracy and extra HP. Now, the one thing I want to say immediately is that obviously some of these are going to be a bit more useful than others. Specifically, anything that's going to give you a percentage-based bonus as opposed to a flat stat bonus. So right here, our HP, we're getting a percentage bonus, 36%, and then some extra defense, which is a flat stat. So the HP, crazy nice, extra defense, whatever, we don't really care that much. Again, percentage, 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 percentage. These are the ones we're going to want to focus on. Accuracy and extra HP, and then resist and extra HP are flat stats. And resist isn't even working correctly in the game as far as I'm aware currently. They're still working that bug out. So accuracy, fewer characters affected, not quite as important, so that's probably going to be one of the ones you focus on last. But you're going to want to focus on some of these more percentage-based ones to begin with. Specifically, Vanguards. You're going to want Vanguard's health up there. You're going to want the HP bonus. Defense. Both Crete and Artis get defense or attack bonuses based on their defense percentage. So any defense you give them, even though defense stat in general is kind of fading to the side, you are also actually going to do more damage as your defense gets pumped up. Crit damage, while good for a lot of classes, your main Vanguard is Leo, who can't crit at all. So that's not going to be nearly as important of a stat as, say, defense or survivability is. When you come down here, supports. Obviously, the most important thing for support is going to be your health pool, because all of your healers, their heals, are based on their max health percentage for the most part. So that's going to be a vital statistic for support. Whereas the rest of this, I don't really care that much. If my support's really getting beat up, if my healer's really getting beat up, defense percentage is not going to save them. They're too squishy, and at that point, frankly, the battle's probably already lost. But accuracy might start to play a part for a support, whereas it really wouldn't for, say, an energy or a summon hero quite as much. Obviously, you want to pay attention to your summoning heroes, because a lot of the times they're gaining bonuses, maybe not necessarily built off health. Score and Hattie, for a specific example. Hattie, let's see if I can find it here. Hattie's health is based off Score's attack percentage. Here we go. Hattie has 100% of Score's attack and defense and HP equal to 4,000% of Score's attack. So actually bumping attack for Score and Hattie is going to help their health pool. So you want to pay attention to very specific abilities like that. Like I mentioned, Leo. Leo can't crit, so we don't care about crit damage for Vanguard quite as much. Summoning. You're going to want attack up there because it's going to help out a lot of their damage, and it's also going to keep Hattie alive. So you want to pay attention to some specific things for heroes in your roster that you utilize the most. It does look like down the road you're going to be able to reset. I currently haven't seen any of these gene reset devices. I don't know if that's going to be a guild versus guild thing. If somebody's already aware of them in the game right now, please let me know so that I can let everybody else know. But I haven't actually seen any of those yet, and I definitely haven't spent any, so I haven't gotten one by accident. So eventually, we hope those will come to the game, and then you can reset, because frankly, I would almost reset this entire tank page. I used tanks a lot when I was coming up, but now that Leo is in the game, you really don't use tanks that much. Maybe if you have a really great Zeta, the Triple S Atlas tank, maybe then you're going to think about putting some into this. But frankly, Leo tanks, I don't know, 98% of content for me at this point. So I could have actually used some of these 4 guys right here into some other places, bump some other stats. It would have been helpful. So considering we can't currently reset and we don't know how you're going to be able to win those resets yet, make sure you're kind of focusing based on what your roster needs. Maybe don't focus into tank quite as much as I did, because tanks really phase out later in the game once you get Leo up and running, and Crete and some of the other Vanguards, because with that Vanguard commander right now, they basically neutralize tanks. You don't need tanks unless you're using Oysa for her stun. So maybe don't focus on the tanks, but again, this is all very roster based. Try to make sure that you're not just throwing points in. Try to make sure, like I said, you're not throwing a bunch of crit damage in because Leo can't crit. Make sure you're adding some attack for Score and Hattie, and you're paying attention to what your heroes need. Don't just throw them in randomly. I ended up, in the end, throwing 5 points in everything for every team, basically, because my guild does really well in our guild hunts, and I have a ton of these gene modules that I can spin. But don't think that you're going to have all that resource. Plan and play as efficiently as possible, and then if you have a surplus, great. Which maybe now is a great time to say, if you are a very active player and you want to push high-end content, having a strong guild is really, really important. My brother actually just left his guild and joined our guild because they weren't doing enough and he wasn't able to progress. I guarantee, even though that he actually has a little bit more power than I do, his class technology, his guild hall here doesn't look anything like mine because he's been in a much weaker guild. So make sure you guys are getting in a strong guild. That way you can buff all these stats, because, I mean, these numbers are insane. For hunters, a 49% attack bonus, you're only getting a 15% bonus when you're combining a hero set for their gear. So that's 3 hero sets. That's 3 extra sets of gear bonus, basically. That is a huge, huge, huge number. And an extra quarter health, I mean, that's insane, especially for your Vanguard class. Vanguard class can get up to 50% HP bonus, essentially. That is absolutely massive. This is really stuff that's important for your roster, and you want to make sure you're in the best possible guild to focus up and get these bonuses, because they are massive for your roster. So that's what I'm going to say about the class technology haul tonight, guys. Just a couple of reminders. Make sure you're focused on what's helping your roster. Maybe steer away from tanks a little bit, but you never know, because the assassins are coming out strong now. I don't have much in assassins. I never used them, but Rickert looks amazing. Now they have a Triple S commander in the game for assassin heroes too. So don't get too upset if you've placed some points in tank, or you've placed some points in assassin or energy and they weren't the strongest at the time. This game is constantly evolving. This game is really, really generous as far as resetting and moving around gear and heroes. So don't get upset if you think you've wasted a bunch of points. They may not be wasted, and in the end, you might be able to reset them anyway. So there's the talk on class technology tonight, guys. Please subscribe to the channel so you're not missing upcoming content. If this was helpful, or if you like my points, please give me a thumbs up. Do not hesitate to leave comments in the section down below. I'm always open for some discussion and dialogue. And as always, have fun. Good luck.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.